I initially wanted to record this using my own voice, but whenever it came time to record, I started to feel so nervous it was hard to speak, so I am using text-to-speech. Hello all, it is Biggie Piss, and I've been on YouTube for 8 years. I started this channel in 2018, when I was around 14 to 15 years old, and I was not very nice. My mainstay on the channel was Cringe compilations, initially picking on Sans Fangirl channels and moving on to Gacha live videos during the boom in the early 2020s. Recently, on Discord, I was alerted to a video from 4 years ago that was calling me out for harassment they had received from my fans. I assumed that this was someone who had ended up in one of my videos, and it really brought me back and reminded me of how horrible I was during my run in the Cringe community. So, in this video, I will be doing a couple of different things. First, right now, I will be issuing an apology to every small channel that ended up in an old video of mine. You absolutely did not deserve that, and I am sorry for any harm that I or the people who apparently sought you out on my behalf caused you. Second, I will be explaining what led me down the path I walked, and what made me decide to leave it behind. I'll start at the beginning. I have had a very long run on the internet. My first social media account was a Pinterest account from back when I was probably like 10. I didn't really get a chance to have an internet upbringing free of scrutiny, as my primary ventures onto social media were from around 2016, which was not only a prime era for cringe culture online, but also Donald Trump's first term of presidency. Now, I wouldn't say I was a staunch conservative at the grueling age of 13, but I will say that I have never been immune to the knee-jerk reaction of I don't understand this thing and therefore I don't like it. Obviously, I am much more aware of this now, and can pretty easily catch myself and correct my thought crimes when it happens. However, at that age I was not so aware, and as a result, the rising meme culture of the right had me in its clutches. I thought that jokes about attack helicopters and the like were hilarious, so I easily digested some more conservative ideas relating to mocking others and shame. With that being mixed with the influence of figures such as Leafy is here, I think it is safe to say that that is part of what led me into making cringe compilations myself. My age, mixed with the autism I would later be diagnosed with, is likely what brought me to the side road of fandom and subculture-based content that my channel initially thrived off of. I would say that low empathy as a symptom of autism might have made it easier for me to say and do cruel and belittling things without feeling bad about it in the first place, especially in an online environment that encouraged it. My first big hit was my video on Crystalli. For those who don't know, Crystalli was a large animation YouTuber who was exposed for a couple of different things, but his biggest controversy surrounded his art theft and child predation. Everyone was publicly shitting on him, and I decided to get in on the action. No, I am not going to sit here and tell you that Crystalli didn't deserve the hate when he was playing with his worm for 14-year-olds on Instagram. However, for me, those controversies were really just a vehicle that allowed me to be as mean and vindictive as I pleased, since nobody gives a shit about the mental health of a proven pedophile. My video on him currently collects dust in the private section of my channel at 167,000 views. Haha, 6-7. I remember checking my notifications before class and seeing 9+ notifications every day. Nearly everyone was mocking Crystalli with me, save for a handful of people who usually told me that I had no right to speak because my art was worse. And, I mean, it was, but at least it was mine. The positive response to that video not only made me feel appreciated but vindicated. Because this person was doing something that I perceived as wrong, it was perfectly okay to belittle and mock them for whatever reason I wanted to, relevant or not. After that, my most popular compilations were on two different subjects: kink culture and gacha life. The gacha videos were obviously the biggest hits and got my channel to the sub count it is at, but I'd like to quickly touch on the videos on kink stuff first. 1 year after I started my channel, I made a cringe compilation consisting of people into roleplay in which one person pretends to be a little kid and the other pretends to be their parent. I would like to quickly return to the callout that inspired this video, since I think that it was made by someone who ended up in one of the aforementioned videos. They mentioned that people in my community had been harassing them for years because of it, but I made my final video on that subject 6 years ago and the callout came 4 years ago. That means they'd been dealing with unwarranted harassment for at least 2 years. I was not aware of this at all, and that is legitimately evil behavior. I would like to once again apologize to that person specifically because that was entirely undeserved, and I hope that they are doing better. Back to the main focus of this video, my first viewable venture into gacha videos was in mid-2019. This lands me in the time frame of my second year of high school. This was probably when I was trying to moralize the hardest. From 2020 up until fairly recently actually, I would try really hard to be morally pure. This led to me developing a really intense desire to criticize stuff in order to feel correct, so I went harder at my compilations and really tried hard to pick stuff that went against my moral code so I could feel good about it. I've been slowly growing out of it and trying to accept that I can't be mentally perfect even if I try. I think another thing that spurred me on is how the videos I made fun of reminded me of myself when I was new to the internet. I never made any videos about wolf guys with spiky clothes hitting on cat girls, but I did read and write awkward and out of character Death Note fanfiction. I think that the familiarity of it all may have made me feel embarrassed and insecure, like I was looking at my younger self. It is also worth noting that during this time I was a regular on Kiwi Farms, a notorious lolcow forum initially created to stalk Chris Chan, I believe. I would visit it nearly every day when I was in my third year of high school. They genuinely had me on the brink of entering the right-wing pipeline, all because I was thinking this is the cool edgy contrarian internet where all the cool edgy contrarians are. It is so cool and edgy here. I am such a contrarian. It is so cool and edgy, and I certainly was an edgy contrarian. But I was not cool. At some point, I finally had a normal person thought about my endeavors, which was that I cannot be seen doing this shit when I hit 20. I made an agreement with myself that I would start making commentary-style videos when I was 17, and leave cringe content behind entirely when I turned 18. In the end, I ended up quitting prematurely because I simply didn't feel like editing the commentary videos. However, as I got older, I started to genuinely view the way I acted as being needlessly cruel towards people who didn't deserve it. When I think about it, it is kinda scary how literally anyone could be a victim of mine. A customer at the store I work at, someone attending the school near my home, literally anyone I talk to on the internet, like, we could be mutuals on Twitter for all I know. Having all those people cheering me on to bully strangers online was so weird in hindsight and really should never have occurred. It is also kind of shocking just how much happened on the channel in the short span of time I was uploading those. It was technically 3 years, but, once again, I barely uploaded anything after turning 17. Honestly, if I had posted this in like 2023, it probably would have been the last video on my channel and I never would be uploaded again. However, since it is still running and gaining traction again from my Project Moon related videos, I would like to stay until I decide I've had enough. And if one day the channel does rise from the ashes, I don't want news of my old content to be some kind of time bomb that blows up in my face. I want it to be publicly known and completely denounced. This is my vow that I, Biggie Piss, will never make another cringe compilation for as long as I live. I have, and will continue to redirect the irrepressible hatred and vitriol within me that I once infused into so many videos towards right-wing politicians and my boss. May God smite those white demons with holy lightning. So, TLDR, I was an insecure, easily swayed, reactionary, and angry teenager wielding a glass cannon of influence, and I really shouldn't have been. I regret ever getting involved with cringe culture and I am trying to be kinder and more accepting of others. Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.